Patricia Ann Rogers was born on October 21st, 1929 in Syracuse, Nebraska. She was born in the home that her parents, Miley and Alvina Rogers, lovingly built. Our mother recalled that the home had a great big front porch, perfect for reading a good book on a hot afternoon, watching the fireflies dance on the lawn, or waiting for a huge Nebraska thunderstorm to roll in. Despite being a child of the Depression, Patricia remembered her childhood as a happy, idyllic time. She was, after all, an only child and clearly the apple of her parents' eye. During these early years, one of her greatest delights was the arrival of the Sears Roebuck catalog, which she and her friends found perfect for making their own paper dolls. She also loved clamping on her skates in the winter when the pond in Lincoln would finally freeze over. And Patty always loved school, though she did get off to a bit of a slow start. Our grandmother Alvina always loved to tell the story of the day that Patty's kindergarten teacher called to tell her that Patty was having a little trouble learning to read. Her mother was aghast, "But I read to Patty every night, and she loves it," our grandmother told the teacher. "Ah," said the teacher knowingly, "Patty appears to be a tad bit lazy. No more reading to her until she learns to read for herself." When Patty heard this, she immediately knew the jig was up. And from that moment on, Patricia became a lifelong avid reader, devouring a new book every few days. In 6th grade, the family moved from Nebraska to Palo Alto, California. During these middle school and high school years, Patty developed her flair for the dramatic, participating in many theater productions, including the starring role in Snow White. Patty attended Palo Alto High School, where she met a wonderful group of friends. Many of them stayed close for over 70 years. A reunion luncheon in December of last year in our mother's kitchen attests to the longevity and importance of these high school friendships. Patty was in high school during World War II. She was a member of the Conservation Corps and head of the Junior High Red Cross for her school. She remembers harvesting apricots, blackberries, green beans, and strawberries. It was back-breaking work, but as our mom recalled, everybody's help was needed since so many young men had gone into the service. When it came time for college, Patricia chose UC Berkeley. Her reason? Stanford was just too close to home. She majored in history and psychology, but said that she was having so much fun in college, she admitted to being a bit of a party girl, that she actually gave no thought as to what she would eventually do with her degree. It was during her freshman year at a fraternity dance that Patricia met her future husband, Thomas. He always maintained that he went home that night and told his roommate that he had met the girl he was going to marry. Sure enough, 4 years later, on December 20th, 1951, they were married in the fireside room of the First Presbyterian Church in Berkeley. Since Tom was in the Air Force, their early years of marriage were a series of moves to different Air Force bases. With their first child on the way and Tom on tour in Korea, Patricia moved home to Berkeley to be near her parents. Tom arrived back in time for the arrival of Karen, but was soon called back to active duty, this time to Del Rio, Texas. 23-year-old Patty followed him 3 weeks later, taking the train all by herself with a 5-week-old baby in tow. She remembered her years living on bases as great fun. There were many young couples, and activities and get-togethers were plentiful. It was during this time that Patty began teaching a 2nd-3rd grade combination class at the base school. With big goals, the young couple was able to save all of Patty's paycheck and half of Tom's. By 1955, they had enough saved up to bring their big dream of Tom attending dental school to fruition. They moved to South San Francisco, and Tom attended UCSF for the next 4 years. Patty went back to teaching since money was tight. She always maintained that she knew more ways to cook hamburger than anyone else she knew. It was in South San Francisco that their second child, Joanne, was born. After dental school graduation, the young couple decided to move their young family to San Jose to set up Tom's orthodontic practice. At that time, San Jose was still a sleepy little town full of orchards. It was here that their third child, Susan, was born in 1960. Son Tom completed the family 4 years later in 1964. Soon thereafter, the couple built their dream home in Saratoga. Patty found lots of wonderful friends among her neighbors, and many of them remained close to her until the day she died. With her big brood, Pat became a very busy stay-at-home mom. She was a campfire leader for each of her daughters and a team mother for many of son Tom's soccer and baseball teams. She was also always found volunteering in the classrooms. But what we remember most was how she could always be found sitting at the kitchen table after school. It was here we shared the highs and lows of our day, all made better with some cookies and motherly love. Our mother also made sure we all had a strong foundation of faith. She and my father joined the West Valley Presbyterian Church in 1961 when there was only the tiny parish hall and a small but dedicated congregation. She has been a member of this church for over 50 years. Our mom and dad were members of the Enterprise ship from its very beginning. Her shipmates in this group have been a mainstay of her life and some of her dearest friends. Over the years, Pat has worn many hats in the church: a deacon, an elder, a Sunday school teacher, a crafter, and a member of several presbytery committees. Her faith has been the strongest force in her life, and it sustained her to the very end. Patricia's life took a difficult turn in 1972 when her husband Tom, the love of her life, unexpectedly died of a heart attack. Our mother was just 43 years old at the time and was left to raise 4 children ranging in ages from 8 to 20 by herself. In this, she did an incredible job. Over the next 4 decades, she put 4 kids through college, saw all her children married to good people, and watched each of them add sprouts of their own to our family tree. Throughout all these years, she maintained a deep and special relationship with each of her children, with Karen, Joanne, Susan, and Tom. Throughout these 40 years, she remained the center of our family, hosting Christmases and birthdays, taking the whole family on wonderful vacations, and entering enthusiastically into the job of grandma par excellence. Maybe this part of her history can best be told through the remembrances of her 9 grandchildren, taken from a book that was written for her a couple of years ago.
One of my favorite memories didn't cost a dime, but was always really special: spending the night at Grandma's house. We would get takeout, and then I'd pull out the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boy DVDs. We would stay up late into the night watching episode after episode.
Grandma has taught me so many things. The value of a handwritten greeting or thank you card, the mental benefits of being a crossword puzzle buff, and the art of hand-picking a pound of See's chocolates, to name a few. But more than anything, she has shown me how a good sense of humor, a strong faith, and unconditional love can bring and hold a family together no matter what the world throws at you.
Grandma helped pay for part of my education at Stanbridge Academy and later at Riverview. This has allowed me to become a more mature, stronger, and better person. This is partly why I am where I am today, living independently in my own apartment.
Grandma's love of family knew no bounds. She was always looking for ways to get us together. Holidays or events, I can still hear her voice. "Come all ye Moors, gather round." When you talked to Grandma, she could tell you what everyone was doing, whose team was winning, who got a new job, and who broke up with a girlfriend. And when someone in the family needed help, she was there with open arms. She has shown me what it means to really love family.
If I could inherit one thing from Grandma, it would be her spunk and sparkle. I love that Grandma was a little feisty and knew how to hold her own, speak her mind, crack a good joke, and see the humor in life. From her blue eyes to her quick wit to her warm heart to her smile, she truly sparkled and radiated joy in every way. I hope I shine like that too.
I remember one summer when Grandma employed me to fix up her diving board and outdoor furniture. Frankly, I was not looking forward to sanding wood for 5 hours a day. But after one day of work, I knew Grandma would be the best boss I ever had. She loaded her kitchen with snacks and fed me delicious lunches. We talked a lot and I listened to some of her best stories. I continued to work there for another 2 weeks, and those ended up being my favorite weeks of the summer.
It has taken me a while to fully appreciate how strong my sweet, white-haired grandma was, but the older I get, the more I hope to emulate the strength of her optimism and independence. Grandma could find something positive in the most negative situations, and her optimism was infectious to those around her. Grandma's strength was the tent pole that held up our extended family.
I will never forget when Grandma surprised me by taking me to eat at BJ's right next to Apple headquarters. This was way before I worked for Apple, but Grandma knew I loved everything having to do with this company. I remember driving up and seeing the Apple logo everywhere. It was awesome. And now, I think about that lunch every time I'm in Cupertino for work. No doubt about it, Grandma, you are the apple of my eye.
Grandma was truly the matriarch of our family. She has instilled in each of us the importance of family. Through her example and effort, we all have a great love of spending time with one another, and we all feel connected even when we can't see each other. Grandma has taught me that family comes first.
On March 15th of this year, our mother lost a courageous battle with lung cancer. Throughout her last year, she remained steadfast in her faith and lived every one of her last days with intentional joy. And so we say goodbye, but just for a little while, to Patricia Ann Moore, treasured daughter, devoted wife, marvelous mother, wonderful grandmother, faithful Christian, and loving and beloved friend to us all.